Get your tickets to F9 and D-Box and buckle up for a motion experience unlike any other. Rated PG-13.
So let's hit some questions here from the audience. I'm just going to kind of read them out straight here. Have you thought about to tie subscription to other services like Netflix or for gaming to additional content? As a Netflix client and gamer, found it hard to convince myself that a subscription on top of the chair would be worth it. So I don't know,
well, good point. So yes, so there's two angles. The first good news for D-Box and for all shareholders is we're able to bring in Haptic experiences without talking to streaming studio. So when we're coding series, we don't have to talk to them. So that's important to launch the strategy and to be agnostic from anyone. So that's the angle number one. Secondly, as well, definitely we're discussing with them to create some marketing agreement or a premium offering and things like that. So this is something because of the footprint that takes more time. But yes, that's an angle that definitely we're talking with them.
All right. And do you have any backlog or anything like that you can talk about? You announced the one theater deal for a rollout, but is there any kind of backlog numbers you can discuss?
Martin, we're going to be coming back. So definitely because of COVID, we're going to have some metrics that we're going to be using in the public domain, and of course sticking to them throughout the trimesters after the COVID. But I don't have something to mention right now. The only thing I could say positively in terms of backlog, without going into private information, is this year was a transition year. So as you know, a lot of exhibitor has been financially affected during the pandemic. So the level of capex that they have was limited. So the good news we have for them is in the past we were probably more conservative than other studio, meaning we work with cinema that were paying for our seat instead of just doing GV and making money in 7 years from now. So that gave us in a position that we have other customers that are in a good healthy situation. So yes, we do expect to announce other rollout. But this is a transition of years. Some industry are saying that they won't, some exhibitors said that they won't do any capex before the next 2-3 yeyears. So, but yes, good traction to come, and it's important for the footprint.
All right.
No backlog for today.
All right. You had a slide there with like the blurred out image, and then there was one with the Haptic Platform. And there's a question here, any partners related to the Haptic Platform? That's the first I've seen it, me as well. Very exciting. Can you talk about that Haptic Platform? How, like, you put your chair on it, or do you sell it to other chair makers, and it's sort of just a device that they can embed into things so it's easier for product adoption?
Yeah, the good point. So on that one, and we covered that to the shareholders meeting, but I think it's important. So the business angle of the platform being into commercial or into consumer is definitely, instead of having to integrate component into a seat, you just take anything and you just put on it. So that was to easy the technical aspect. So that's the intent of the platform. For the sake of the question and everyone, it does provide the same quality, motion, and texture experiences. So it's not because it's an horizontal platform that it doesn't move up or move down. It's the same experiences, the main body, etc. So this is the product. So we have a workable product, and yes, we're in discussion with partners to make commercial launch in the consumer business.
And would that be? Sorry, yep. Would that be a product I buy and put underneath my lounge chair? Or is that something you would sell so it's just easily integrated by all sorts of home theater furniture companies?
The angle would be that you could be putting that under your recliner or any type of devices that people are going to get. So based on the first partnership we're going to be signing is going to be pretty more tailored. But yes, the objective is, at some point in time, Martin, you buy that, and you could, instead of changing your recliner, you buy the platform, you put under the recliner, and you're okay.
That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Another question here from a little bit of, did Sebastien just say anticipate other partners in the coming months? Sorry, he just wanted some clarification. I think, anyways.
I love those questions from the crowds, all the details. But yes, like I said, we're a public company. I know that people would like that would be a private company and divulge more that. But yes, I voluntarily put that we have product launches. So I won't go there. But as we're saying, we're not exclusive. So that one launch, we have gaming, racing, and home entertainment. So yes, before the end of the next fiscal year, with everything we all run right now, we're expecting to announce new partnerships. We already mentioned to shareholders, partnerships take time, and when you have a partnership, it takes time between the partnership and the launch of the product, but it gives visibility for shareholders, and our revenue are going to scaling up. So yes, there's an S at launches. It's not a typo.
All right. And one thing I wanted to circle back on, I think you had that on one of your slides. You have a lot of patents out there, and the haptic industry there's a lot of interest and so forth in this. Are you able to leverage that patent base you have to license it out, or I don't know, you don't want to be running around suing people, but you could license it out to a licensing company, and they could go after people and sort of capture some value, some hard value out of that. Can you make any comments with sort of how to best leverage, maybe beyond your own product development, your patent portfolio?
The main objective of our patent right now is not to, as you're saying, as there's some companies such as Immersion, to monetize our patent with third party. Definitely into business discussion, it helps when we're saying we can move that. There might be one or two patents that I won't name that we might be exploring what are the potential of creating some trouble into the market. But right now it's more, I would say it's to support a strategic plan, but not to move into an IP offensive play right now.
Well, and I guess if you're dealing with a large player, be it a video game company, a studio, or an equipment maker, and if several people are talking to them and you actually say, look, we've got the patents for this, if you partner with these other guys, you could be getting like a bit of a pickle here. So is that part, like when you say in terms of your strategic partners, is that how you kind of leverage to say, look, we are the sort of domain leaders on this?
Yeah, because there's some pattern that make it, let's say, complex to arrive with some strategy. An example, when we're into our consumer strategy, as we're saying, there's you watch your original content, let's say over TV, and our box listen to the movie and like Shazam synchronize in real time. So we have some IP around that. So definitely someone that would want to create an haptic live connection to haptic would have some trouble making that. So that's where there's some area that yes could be licensed somewhere in the future, but right now we're more using that to arrive as a strategic partner which has that built-in infrastructure and production to partner.
There's a question here that I was going to ask something similar as well, so I'll read this out. Are you able to use AI to automatically code motion for live streaming content? If not, is this part of your plan for the future? And what I want to add to that is for video games where you're not deep embedded in it, maybe not to have the full experience, but maybe if the AI sees, oh, you moved left, and then you give it a bit of a left sway, or it sees an explosion on the screen and it kind of an AI real-time sort of incorporates that. Are you able to use the AI or whatever other tools to enhance non-coded content?
Yeah, to do that simple. So yes, as we're saying, to do AI, you need to have, that's one of the advantage of DBox. To use AI, you need to have data, right? So we have 20 years of data of haptic code, haptic experiences, movie experiences. So when you don't have that, you can do an AI. So and the level I will be saying we're using AI is definitely, I call that phrase one, is productivity tools. Let's say it takes 10 hours code something, you move to 1 hour, so to do 10x, so productivity tools. We do have areas that we use as well, automation coding. Let's say you could be doing music. It's mostly audio, so it's more simple. So you put AI. So yeah, there's some content level that are moving to automatic content. And yes, we're using AI to get just a hint both on the audio, but you can use AI, which is quite complex on video, pixel stream about how all your image goes into various directions, etc. So more complex, but we're using AI on the audio side, on the motion side as well.
All right. I want to go to the theater side, and just an observation I made. I look back at like what the big movie theaters are and the box office stuff is right now. And this year's obviously kind of a weird year. and last year. And out of the, so far this year, 5 of the top 10 movies globally are actually, I believe they're all Chinese movies. And what I was looking at to 20 years ago in the top 5 movies, one of the top movies was My Big Fat Greek Wedding, which I don't think has huge, like there's not that much haptic stuff you can put that. And the studios for the theater experience are really going towards those big tentpole movies where it's the Avengers, it's Star Wars, it's F9 and so forth. Like the Sophie's Choice or the My Big Fat Greek Wedding are going straight to streaming. So it's just sort of like, do you concur with that's where the theater's going? And are there any of those genres where you have a better traction? Like horror is always a big one. Do you like, I know I'm not a horror fan, but like for jump scares and that, are you getting embedded into the horror genre to help make it extra spooky?
Yeah, so to answer that in level, so the first level, yes, every year when you look at the top 20 movie, roughly that makes 75% of the box office. 18 out of 20 are action movie, things like that, sometimes an horror, but it's the category that D-Box fed. So every year we're in the top 20 and you might have, as you're saying, one movie that we were less on that. So that's the first angle about what's the angle of people going to the cinema and mostly where is the money made by cinema. So that's angle number one. Secondly, as you were saying, there's already gender that are getting popular in theater with D-Box. You mentioned horror is definitely one. Everything around racing and sports. So if what was the movie Ford versus Ferrari? That was 2019, which was a great movie. And definitely there's animation movie, Pixar movie, Disney's movie were are getting quite popular. So these are the angle that already in the cinema, as you were saying, as are really used. And I'll just finish on one thing on the third angle is we made a scientific plus validation review with consumer about, as you were saying, various gender, asking how people would be paying, etc., moving to music like A Star is Born and going to Arrival. And the movie that people appreciated the most and would be paying the most were movie that we were not doing. The first one was A Star is Born, you know, Lady Gaga and etc. So, and Bradley Cooper, and people, that's what they felt there was the more immersivity. I could have all people looking at Bohemian Rhapsody and D-Box. So this is where, from the angle of the past and the consumer, they talk big action movie, but of course in theater they make less movie, but that's the angle that D-Box, the subtlety of what we brings is even more appreciated than just, excuse me, the fight and the big band and the gunshot, etc. that people are used to. Still really, really fun, really, really nice, but that's the angle that's going to be interesting as well, theater, but as well home.
Would there, like, I'm just thinking back on that, your haptic platform, would there be a method for you to have, like, using that system to get into a wider range of studio seating where you don't have quite the same expense, like you've got maybe level 1 and level 2 of D-Box seating, because the more seats you have, the better it is. Are there some lower cost ways for you to get into more movie studio seats?
Yes, so yes, there's two angles that we're, let's say, when you look about what's happening on theatrical or rec room is, first, as you were saying, we're looking at various type, let's say, of product at various price range, which will have different experiences. So that's one. So you can be talking about the recliner moving to a more comfy chair, to less dimension of movement, etc., but still sufficient and a lower price. So we have that as an angle. And the second angle as well we're having, which is going to be bringing is, in the past, we knew cinema right now, the big complex, right? 16 screen of 150 seats. And now they're reinventing to create some lounge of 20 seats, 30 seats, 40 seats, creating gender, etc. So let's call that some small entertainment room. So there's that angle as well about bringing an experiences that could be combined into a 40 or 30 seats, which could move to movie, to orchestra, to concert, to racing, to gaming. So that's where there's an angle about converting all those content into one immersive seat.
When I was looking at the top 10 movies, half of them were Chinese. Are you getting traction inside of foreign production studios, either in China or Europe or India? India is what, the world's biggest. They make more movies than anyone else there. Are you trying to get traction into any of those other production regions?
We do have, well, yes, in the, I think, well, not to 2020, but in 2019 or 18, we made 20 China movie. So, and more movie that the IMAX made in China. So yes, we do have a connection and someone in China from that angle. So, and we were looking both of a movie for the China market, but which movie could expand internationally. So we had China movie that, let's say, we're focusing more strategically. And when we started with India, there was Bollywood movie that was a big ask by even Cineplex or Cinemark. So that's the two type of, I would say, area of the world that some content could be, I would say, brought to another country compared to doing one movie in Germany, but only for Germany, with China movie and Bollywood.
And by the way, Martin, we've done most of the blockbusters for those Chinese movies.
All right. Okay. All right. There's a question here, one final one. I guess we should be wrapping this up here. Someone's asking about when do you expect to be Ebitda positive? Would that be this year or 2022? Are you able to make any sort of guesstimates on the recovery and when that could possibly look like?
Good question, and I'm not going to answer it because we already answered publicly. So the company this year, as we're progressing restraint, but we're looking to be, our objective is to be positive Ebitda by the second part of the year.
All right. Okay. And this will be my final question. We do have to wrap it up. With all the stock market news in the US, you've got AMC and the Wall Street bets, and then you've got GameStop. So like you've got video game guy, you've got a movie theater guy, and you're kind of at the nexus of that. Are you able to, like, on your IR strategy, sort of I don't know, put a few tweets in Reddit on, say, hey, look, if you want video games and movie theaters, able to go here, or maybe just talk about your market activities?
Well, these are interesting names to talk about, and sometimes when you're on those stories, on the love side, you make money. When you're on the bad side, you lose a lot of money. So yeah. Definitely, what I will be saying today, I won't comment on those two specific ones, but I understand why people are saying like that. The only thing I will be saying is, from our IR strategy is, of course, now getting out of the COVID that was our year that we just called that was hit by the COVID, coming back. Yes, we want to have a clearer IR strategy, definitely making sure that from our strategy, we give more visibility. And yes, by presence like that and various other activity to get some traction about getting back on the radar. So this is important. And yes, there's Canada. But and I'm not talking about the US listing, but we all know that what D-Box is doing, the only thing is better known outside of Canada than in Canada in the terms of time of business we are. So yes, we need to get connection or to get traction elsewhere to get things going up.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up here. Do you guys have any final or closing comments or anything you want to highlight before we wrap this up?
Steve, David, something to add before I make my last comment?
You can go.
Well, quickly. So, Martin, again, thank you. And thank you, everyone, for staying here and asking your questions. So, a lot of passionate shareholders. So, the only thing I'll say is we presented a clear strategy. Like we're going to be continuing to communicate with the street. This year is all about getting our traditional market getting back and confirming our transformation into consumer business. So I know that people would want that we sign 65 partners and sign with Xbox, etc. But we cannot do that in 3 months. But that's I think what needs to be the focus for us. So execution, getting back to Ebitda positive, showing some traction into consumer, and of course making sure that we support our partners so we have a profitable commercial business going back. So this is the fourth ray about the current year. And yes, I do feel that there's things I don't control, but if we do something into that direction, that I won't comment on the stock, but the stock should go in the proper direction without knowing where it's going to go. But we'll help build by what we can.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time. Have a great day, and hopefully we'll talk again soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you, everyone.
Sure.